Day 5 of crisis in Tanzania, the streets of major cities remain under heavy police presence, with citizens now required to carry national identification cards for random checks. The situation on the ground is mixed. While some parts of Dar es Salaam are reportedly returning to normalcy, tension remains high in other areas. According to NTV sources, the airport is now in full operation, with flights coming in and out, but no boats are headed to semi-autonomous Zanzibar, creating limited food supply for residents there. At the Namanga border, activities have resumed after 2 people were reportedly killed in protests last week. But the biggest question remains, how many people died in last week's violence? The numbers vary wildly. A group of human rights defenders and advocates have shared what they claim are videos and images of the situation in Tanzania. As the relevant authorities remain mum on the same, the room for speculation is growing unabated. The suppression of access to information through internet shutdown and barely any further information amid a contested and even in some cases rejected election leaves the credibility of alternate narratives weak. The United Nations say at least 10 people were killed in 3 different cities. The opposition claims the death toll is at least 700.
I don't think it is fair at all to ask us to verify numbers while we are seated in Kenya and in a blackout. But the reliable numbers from Chadema, from their own statements, is 700 and counting. And I would believe them because President Samia's government is not giving any information.
Adding to the growing concerns, there are reports that a Kenyan teacher, John Ogutu, was reportedly shot and killed on October 29th during the protests. The reports are still awaiting official confirmation.
But Tanzania must be held accountable, and Kenya must follow up to know the circumstances. But Kenya has been so disappointing lately. We still have Bob Jagi and Nicholas Oyo in Tanzania, in Uganda, and the authorities have not shown any follow-up.
Kenya's Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs has not made any formal statement on any efforts to secure the safety of its citizens in the troubled Tanzania. Regional human rights defenders are demanding the nullification of the election. However, this seems to be a Herculean task, given that Article 41(7) of Tanzania's constitution clearly states that when a candidate has been declared by the Electoral Commission to have been duly elected as president, no court of law shall have any jurisdiction to inquire into the election of that candidate. However, there's the issue of deaths.
We first of all must give voice to victims. We must allow them to say what has happened to them. And what they are saying has happened to them is that they've been shot, they've been injured, they've been killed, they've been violated. From even just the footage that we've watched here, you can see that the sites where many of them were injured looked to me, for those of you who are little familiar with Tanzania, they look like very domestic situations. They look like these were attacks that were being perpetrated in people's homes.
President Samia Suluhu Hassan is said to have won with 98% of the vote, 31 million votes, despite widespread reports of low voter turnout.
In 2020, Tanzania had 29,754,699 registered voters with an alleged 15,091,950 votes cast, leading to a 50.75 voter turnout. Now, in 2025, the National Electoral Commission announced that 32.67 million of the 37.7 million registered voters participated, implying an 86% turnout despite a turbulent 3-day period of unrest.
Tundu Lissu's treason case in person earlier this year, but was denied entry, had strong words for regional bodies, especially the African Union Commission chairperson, who was among the first and few leaders to congratulate President Hassan on her election.
Anybody who tries to legitimize what has happened in Tanzania does not wish Tanzania well, does not wish Africa well.
President-elect Hassan is reportedly set to be sworn in tomorrow, Monday, November 3rd. On the day, opposition leader Tundu Lissu's treason case continues. As Tanzania enters its 6th day under internet blackout, the world watches and waits for answers, with the revelations of the days in the dark slowly seeping out. Catherine Omwando, NTV.
And still on that, the party that is the opposition party, Chama cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo, Chadema, has released a statement where they're, among other things, condemning the unnecessary use of force by the security organs of Tanzania against demonstrators, also calling upon security organs to immediately stop the excessive and unreasonable use of force against citizens. And it has advised and appealed to the international community, especially the United Nations and the International Criminal Court, ICC, to urgently conduct an independent investigation into the killings committed by the government of Tanzania, according to Chadema, against its citizens and take the appropriate actions. And this statement has been endorsed by the United Green Movement Party, UGM, in Kenya, and which says that they need all political voices, both in the continent and across the world, to call out the excesses which they have attributed to Samia Suluhu and her party CCM.